What's up guys, welcome back to another Oregon Trail devlog. Today I'll be going over the progress that I've made and how I almost abandoned the entire game. So yeah, let's get into it. So, after the last devlog, I started planning out the layout of the map. I started off by scripting a system which will generate forests for me, as placing them by hand will take forever. The system makes sure each tree and bush is unique by giving it a random color, rotation and size. After that, the tree or bush will be aligned with the surface that is beneath it by using some vector and C-frame magic which I don't understand. After that, I started working on some landmarks as I wanted to start filling the map with them already. I started off with the Chimney Rock and I'm not exactly happy with the results and it looks quite pathetic, but it's good enough for me. I kind of regret not using the terrain system that Roblox has, but I might experiment with it later in the future. The main problem is that I just suck at anything terrain related, pretty much. I made sure that the Chimney Rock is quite big, and as I was adjusting map size to fit it in, I realized that I just encountered a huge problem. My scope for the map size was too big and my map reached the Null Zone. There's a high probability that you have heard of it, but if you haven't, then I'll give a brief explanation on what it is and why it's a problem. The Null Zone is a nickname given for the phenomenon that happens if you travel too far away from the origin point in Roblox, and you start seeing the world around you get distorted. You might have seen this in games like Build a Boat for Treasure, where you can get launched thousands of stars away and your character starts looking like this. Now, I knew that the Null Zone existed, but I didn't know when it would start. I was guessing after like maybe 100,000 stars or 1,000,000 stars, which is a bit ridiculous, but apparently the distortions start at around 20,000 stars. Now, this is a problem because, as I said, this will distort the world. Luckily, I found that the optimal distance away from the origin is around 28,000 stars, and this reduces the distortion to only being seen when moving and zoomed into your character. I'm unsure if the Null Zone will mess up anything else, like the guns, because of the accuracy problem that the Null Zone has with numbers. I also might have to remove some landmarks, as the original 18 landmarks might make the map too stuffed, but I'll see if I can come up with a way to include them all. Anyways, after stopping to think of a solution to that problem and finishing the Chimney Rock, I started working on Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie is the second fort you encounter in the game, and in my opinion it's one of the nicest looking ones. Although I'm not the biggest fan of building, it was nice to take a break from scripting and recreate something from a 2D game to a 3D game. It was quite a fun time trying to build some features that the original picture didn't have. The fort ended up like this, and I'm happy with it as it looks quite good whilst not being too performance heavy, as it doesn't have a lot of parts. Whilst I'm on the topic of optimization, I might as well talk about some of the steps that I have taken to optimize the game a bit. Most people don't recommend optimizing whilst making a game, and they recommend to optimize after completing a game. But I'm not the biggest fan of that recommendation, and anyways, as you may have noticed, I changed the shape of the trees from spheres to cubes. The reason behind this is that spheres have a lot more triangles than cubes do, as you can see in this visual here. Cubes have 12 triangles, while spheres have 432. If you're not aware of how computers render objects, then a basic explanation is that computers use triangles to make up any shape that exists, and the more triangles you have, the more work your computer has to do in order to render all of them. So, by simply changing from spheres to cubes, I made the game a lot easier to run and decreased the amount of triangles by 95%. Whilst I was working on the game, Roblox also released a feature called occlusion culling, which you might have heard about. This feature is automatically enabled for all games, so that's why you might have seen an increase in performance whilst playing some games. Occlusion culling is a simple concept. By simply not rendering any objects that are behind other objects, therefore not visible, we can increase our performance by quite a lot. Here you can see it in action whilst I'm moving around the Chimney Rock. As you can see, all of the trees that get behind the mountain are automatically not rendered. Anyways, enough of that rendering jargon. Let's get back to the game. After the fort, I made the Independence Rock, and I won't lie, this is the most pathetic thing I've ever made.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I really can't do anything about it, as building skills come with time, and this is the best that I could do. But oh well. Now, after making some of these landmarks, I made the map layout and placed them around the map. Here's a top down of the current map. I made the map go around this U-turn so that the journey will be longer, and I might add a couple more since I can't really just make it longer as the Null Zone will just get worse and worse. Now, I will change locations of these forts and landmarks. Currently I just spread them out evenly, if that makes any sense. I also fixed 1 or 2 bugs, like always, and found some more complicated bugs which I just wrote down for now, as I can't be bothered with them. Although, looking at some of these now, they can probably be fixed with a line or two. Like some of these bugs involving the inventory system. For example, when using specific items like the wheel or cloth and trying to switch to other items, then they won't get equipped. There's also this one where items don't get unequipped after being transferred to another container. Should be an easy fix though, hopefully. Then there's this one, which I have no idea what could be causing it. The bug is whenever I talk to the guard at Fort Laramie, his picture doesn't load. Not sure if I need to upload a new picture of him or if it's a bug on my side, not Roblox's. And lastly, I spent some time to move over to Roblox's collection service instead of using folders to organize the important parts of my game. I always knew that collection service existed, but I didn't know how useful it was until I started moving stuff around as I made my map layout. I had random zones in random folders, which I had to move separately, and if I wanted to change the parent of any of these zones, I had to go and find the reference to it in all of my scripts to make sure that they are up to date. But now with collection service I can move them around and reparent them without having to update any of my scripts, which is just a lifesaver. Anyways, that's it for this devlog. Not a lot of focus on scripting, which I hope is okay. And as always, if you have any recommendations or ideas, then comment them down below. And if you like this video, then make sure to like the video. And if you're interested in this game, then make sure to subscribe. That's all I got to say. See ya.